Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger. My friends, Sea Viper is out now for Street Fighter 6, and of course we already have some of the gameplay details about her already live on the channel. And besides just the playable character, there's updates to World Tour. And in fact, there's more than one update. Like, yes, we do have Sea Viper's actual World Tour. She has her own fateful day, as some of the other DLC characters have had. And we learn a lot more about Sea Viper, and we're going to go into it. But we also had a bonus Halloween/guest character World Tour, if you will. We have the Banshee's Last Cry Cross Street Fighter World Tour/visual novel. Yes, what you're looking at right here is World Tour mode, just in the form of a visual novel. It's part of the Viper update. It's completely free. You can just pop in the World Tour and just start playing it. And for what it is, like, it's not like a giant expansion in and of itself, but for what it is, I thought it was great. Like, it's actually really fun. It's a choose your own adventure, murder mystery kind of thing with multiple endings. And the fun part, even though everyone has their own names, all the people in this murder mystery are the actual Street Fighter roster. But we'll get to that later. We'll timestamp everything. Let's talk about Sea Viper first. So what did we get out of Sea Viper in the World Tour update, and is there any hints at anything else? Well, let's talk the lore stuff first. So she is still a spy, she's still in intelligence, and she's still on the trail of all the various Shadaloo things. Also, apparently a fan of John Cena, because this is the only other person I've ever seen use this phrase. But yeah, on the trail of Shadaloo eventually leads her to JP, as he's, up until Bison shows up again anyways, in the regular World Tour, the leader of what's left of Shadaloo. And spoiler, he pulls a bunch of psycho power nonsense, and he was never actually there, and it was all a ghost, or sure, why not, right? The real story here, and this will be delved into more in World Tour, as we'll get into, is not so much Viper Secret Agent, it's Viper Mother. As we get to see Viper's kid again. This is Lauren, who has been around before in Street Fighter 4, although she's a lot older now. We've always known there's a time skip specifically in Street Fighter 6. It's never been stated exactly how long. Here, and very clearly in World Tour, Lauren is in her late teens, right? Not quite an adult yet, but getting close to it. And Viper's been doing the dual life of mom/spy for a long time. Here in her Street Fighter 4 ending, we can see a much younger Lauren, who is, I don't know, with anime it's always hard to tell, but anywhere between like 7 to 10 years old-ish, maybe? So time has passed, to be sure, and that will also have some growing pains, because Lauren's in the rebellious phase of her life, as one of the later World Tour quests will show. All the Viper lore we're going to get here, it doesn't really move the world forward like some of the other World Tours have done. This is basically Viper is a mom first and foremost. So for World Tour, there's all the Viper stuff, there's more quests. A lot of the quests are kind of just busy work to send you around. The CERN drones are looking at the city trying to like predict crime. And crime could be anything from like evil fridges to a lot more. I did like, there's Jiangxi, the hopping ghosts, and you just gotta dispatch them, which, sure, why not? In their defense, they're just having a classic Jiangxi hang and attacking people. And here I'm thinking, you know what, our pal Xianko from Darkstalkers, she would never pull some nonsense like that. But then again, I looked at some old win quotes, and she's been warning us for years, apparently. Those troublesome Jiangxi made it to Metro City, though, regardless, unfortunately. Eventually you get to the quote-unquote main plot of it all here, and you're going to investigate CERN. Something's going on. You got a little bit of a tip-off, right? And you might notice the lady with the red hair. That's absolutely Sea Viper. And yes, this character has been in the CERN Tower since the launch of Street Fighter 6. So they've had this stuff planned out ahead of time. Like way ahead of time. This is the part I'll mention here. There's lots of talk of Street Fighter 4 events here. Yes, CERN's effectively the branch off of Sin, and Viper and the various CERN employees, they mention Seth and Sin a lot. And a lot of the Seth copy fighters are also appearing again. Not as heavy-handed as a hint as like getting Vega's voice actor back, which I'm still very sure eventually he's going to show up in Street Fighter 4, because you don't get a speaking role for a character if you're not going to have them show up, right? Even the Fatal Fury stuff, Andy talked, right? And eventually it turns out Andy's actor was Andy's voice actor in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. But the Seth Sin talk, I don't know, a little heavy-handed, although maybe not a spoiler in and of itself. Eventually, you spy your way into figuring out who Viper is. You kind of blow her cover a bit, and she thinks you're working for Shadaloo. Obviously not, although obviously getting ahead of ourselves here, but later on you have to like be Lauren's guardian and show her around town. And during this, you have like a trauma flashback to you and your pal Bosch. Remember Bosch? Your buddy who died in World Tour mode? JP killed him. And what did you do right after he died? You went to JP and gave him a bunch of candies and prepaid credit cards so you could learn JP's style. So maybe you don't directly work for Shadaloo, but you certainly aren't opposed to him, right? Anyways, you deny. Viper's like, yeah, I'm not believing that. I'm just gonna kill you. And then she finds out the most unfortunate truth of all. You, as Johnny World Tour, you're just actually that stupid. You're not smart enough to be deceitful. You're actually just here to learn from everyone and take everyone's moves and get stronger, right? So, therefore, she falls under Johnny World Tour spell, as everyone does, and she'll take you in like the lost puppy you are and teach you her stuff. Although she will remain very sassy about it. Which leads us to the scenario you saw in the original Sea Viper trailer, where they're up against like an AI and Bison, who gets more than a bit out of control. You got to take him on together. She turned up the difficulty kind of to scare you off, but then it was too much. And since you didn't die, okay, now we'll for real take you on as a student. So you get enrolled, you learn some moves, there's a lot of grinding her style levels, which will not be in the video because that's very boring. But you do the World Tour thing, right? And of course, the quickest way to her heart is naturally prepaid credit cards, as it is with everybody. And then on to the lore dumps. So Viper actually is a scientist. She was recruited by the agency basically right out of college. So it's not just secret agent stuff. She actually is basically like an engineering genius as well. Her work for Sin in Street Fighter 4 and now CERN in Street Fighter 6 are all actually, it's completely legitimate. And specifically the work at Sin in Street Fighter 4. So the battle suit, we get some lore here. So that is from Sin. So when she was working with Shadaloo undercover, of course. And it was basically a way to kind of mass produce a way for a normal person to fight like somebody like Ryu. And as for, you know, the fairness of someone using these tech toys to do things like, you know, seismic events and flame and all that kind of stuff, right? Is that fair? Well, her counter argument would be that she's up against people that can just do that stuff for real. Like they don't need any help. They can just actually do that stuff. So for her, it's just sort of evening the odds. But then, hey, we learn also on top of that stuff, we learn about some of her former coworkers. Like here, this is Smalt Raven. Like, what? The pompadour and big sideburns? Like, hey, I like the look, right? I had to Google Smalt. I just thought it was like a nonsense word. Apparently it's some shade of blue. And his hair's clearly purple, but maybe that's some secret agent misdirection. Now, Smalt Raven actually is a pre-existing character, believe it or not. This artwork of him goes all the way back to the Street Fighter 4 days. And he has a Shadaloo CRI profile for him, also from the Street Fighter 5 days. World Tour always digs deep. It always digs deep. There's more characters too, like Jade Goat, which was mentioned in Street Fighter 5. But as you progress, you get more Viper lore dumps, like how does she take care of her daughter, given the secret agent lifestyle? Well, she has a nanny. Given the nature of her work, Viper can't always be there, fair enough, I suppose, so the nanny helps lighten the load a bit. And also taught Lauren how to be a better cook than Viper is. The big thing you're going to get out of Viper and Lauren, though, is Viper does not want her life for her daughter. She has artistic talents, so she'll try to move her forward in that way. But everything Viper does is for her daughter. She talks about the work she does, she talks about the pay she gets, and like, she doesn't dislike her job and she's very happy with the money, but it's all for her daughter to have the life that whatever her life her daughter wants to have, can have. In no uncertain terms, Viper lives for her daughter. She is the mama bear. And, you know, she's a single mother, right? Who's the daddy? We might get a little hint about that as well. we get an idea of who Viper's teacher was, right? Person who taught her all the spycraft, assassination, everything that she knows. Even taught her how to betray the people that you trust the most. Makes you feel like there's a story there. And speaking of there might be a story there, she says he was her teacher, role model, hero, and sometimes even more than that. Sounds scandalous, doesn't it? Never outright stated, but hey, maybe an idea who the father might be. Although, if it is, his genetics didn't even fight back a little bit when it comes to making Lauren. But yeah, Viper, Secret Agent, once again, is all about Lauren in the end. They hammer this home in the World Tour mode. Everything Viper is doing is for Lauren's benefit, basically. Even if one day she's got to pull a ghost act and disappear, there's money for her, there's contingencies. It's all about her in the end. Anything to protect my daughter, as long as she has a happy life. If she has a happy life, then she lived her life perfectly. And then there's some lovely art here. Viper unfortunately raised a gamer, so Lauren's probably already a lost cause, as we would all know. Although I think this right here is just a lovely little extra touch. So in between all the family love, and there's more, tossing shade at Jury specifically. In Jury's World Tour, it's mentioned that Viper and Jury work together, and Viper's like, yeah, nah. And of course, you'll get a bunch of texts from her as well, and basically no matter what you do, she's going to basically criticize you that you're not being terribly efficient. On top of all that, there's another side quest in the World Tour where you re-infiltrate the CERN building, trying to find out who knows about Viper's past inside of Sin from Street Fighter 4. There's randomly a sumo guy here. You know, sumos do delivery in Street Fighter 6 World Tour. And it's like, hey, you want to eat some chongo? I'm like, sure, why not, right? And then it just warps you to Honda's restaurant. And like, I had to walk all the way back to the CERN building. And like, I don't know, man. Like, it just sort of weirded me out. Eventually you run into a big bad who has like a bunch of like Seth clones with him. And they make some references to Project Bleach, which if I remember right was the Street Fighter 4 animated movie, The Ties That Bind. As Viper does play a pretty big role in that. That's when Cammy deleted all the Bleach data or whatever. And they mentioned Cammy deleted it all so Viper couldn't do her ultimate goal or whatever it was at Sin at the time. Big takeaway for me anyways is a lot of the CERN people are still very much at least pining for the old Shadaloo days. Only other big thing to note is when you're on guardian duty for Lauren. So at some point Lauren and Viper have a big fight. And Lauren's all in Metro City by herself, and you're has to basically like make sure she doesn't get into trouble. This is where we get our sad Bosch flashback that I mentioned earlier while you're eating some delicious Metro City pizza. And Lauren trauma dumps on you that she loves pizza because Viper would always come home too late at night to cook, and they would just order pizza and eat pizza instead. Which, fair enough, I know that all too well. And also, Viper is stalking you the whole time we're doing this, learning all about her daughter. You wind up doing the Metro City's greatest hits, taking pictures and videos for Lauren so she can put it up on her food tube. And then more like, oh, whoops, probably shouldn't have had a fight with mom, right? She's always doing things like protecting me and looking out for me. Oh, what a bad mother. I hate her so much. Naturally, she wants to go to the Sodom truck, though. Everyone does. Where you just randomly get accosted by a bunch of, like, DoorDash guys. And you beat the holy hell out of them and you save the day. In fact, you beat him up so well, you remind Lauren of Viper. Because, hey, I'm fighting just like Viper. Funnily enough, she taught me. Basically, oh, well, Viper's not so bad, I guess. She does a lot for me. I know she loves me. So maybe we shouldn't have had that fight, right? Comes to the realization that she should probably apologize. Good thing Viper's literally right behind you guys, spying on you guys. And orchestrates it so that her and Lauren can basically have a heartfelt, just chat about what's going on. Just totally bypassing. She sent like this, like, at least for my character, like 700-pound gorilla man to watch over you. And she was also spying on both of you on top of that the whole time. But basically, as I kept on saying, Viper's whole story is her daughter, right? This doesn't really move the world of Street Fighter forward anyway, like say like the Bison World Tour did. Although it's just moving forward, going back to Street Fighter 2, but whatever. But yeah, I think this is kind of nice, right? Like, we don't need a grand plot. It's wholesome. It's all about family in the end. And then, the Banshee's Last Cry. So this is the bonus and completely free World Tour Edition added with the Sea Viper patch. And it's basically a visual novel murder mystery with a Street Fighter flavor. Like what you're seeing here, this is the gameplay, for the most part anyways. Like, there's a bunch of people, they all go to a lodge. It's not exactly the plot of Banshee's Last Cry, which apparently is somewhat famous, although I never heard of it personally. It must be like a Japan-only deal. But yeah, you're all in the lodge, and you're all fighters, specifically, because, you know, Street Fighter, right? And you're all here basically for a restful weekend, and then at some point, somebody dies. There's some twists and turns to it, not the least of which, one of the more interesting aspects of this is you will play Street Fighter at points here. Like, we stop the choose your own adventure, we stop the visual novel stuff, yo, get into the actual fight. Now, one of the things here is all of your identities are disguised, you all have fake names, so you don't know who's who necessarily, but everyone is an actual Street Fighter character. There are certain routes that will definitely spell out which character is which Street Fighter character. But for the most part, you kind of gotta guess. Like, the one hint I'll give you, because it's very obvious since it's the very beginning, so it's not a spoiler. Debbie, who is obsessed with sumo, is absolutely E Honda. And as for who is the killer, well, it'll be someone you won't expect. They do that really well, and like, it makes sense once you take into account the character and what they can do and all that kind of stuff, right? Because that's part of it. But yeah, all in all, it's just fun. Like, I understand a visual novel won't be for everybody, but this has lots of chapters. There's lots of ending. There's 15 endings in particular. Some are inconclusive, some are bad ends, some are gag endings. There is definitely a definitive true ending though, so don't worry about that. I gotta say, I was pretty happy with it. Like, to get most of the chapters and most of the endings, it won't take you more than a few hours. And unless you are just very opposed to the concept of visual novels as a whole, like, it's fun. Like, I'm sure it tells whatever the story the original Banshee's Last Cry was, but it's with a Street Fighter twist. And I, at least personally, just had a lot of fun with it. Like, I kind of hope they do more of these now. Like, if you want to take famous visual novels and then just Street Fighterify them, I'm very okay with that. But yeah, that said, that is your world tour update for Street Fighter 6, and I guess we'll do this again come Alex. Alex, Viper didn't really move the world of Street Fighter ahead with this world tour. Alex has the most potential of all these DLC characters to do so, because we don't know what happened with Gil in the Illuminati at all. And he's the guy, he's the protagonist of Street Fighter 3, right? So if anyone would be the guy, it'd be him. And honestly, 50-50 chance if they address it at all. Street Fighter's not a great franchise at tying up loose ends, as we all know very well. Like, what's G all about? Who knows? I can't tell you. But we'll see, and here's hoping on that front. But that said, my friends, that is the end of the video. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.